What would you do if a legendary black panther suddenly refused to move from the road, blocking your path? Would you wait, try to get past it, or try to find out what the secret is behind it? Comment below before you hear the full story. The rising sun filtered through the tangled canopy of the Mbali Rainforest, painting streaks of gold across the jungle floor and casting long shadows that danced like spirits through the mist. In a weathered green patrol jeep, Caleb Brooks, a 42-year-old wildlife ranger with silver-threaded hair and stormy gray eyes, navigated the narrow trails with practiced calm. For 15 years, this sanctuary had been his world. He knew every rustle, every call, every whisper in the trees. Yet that morning, the air felt different, thicker, tenser, like the jungle was holding its breath. Caleb wasn't just a ranger. He was a ghost in the forest, fluent in its rhythms, hardened by poachers, predators, and time. As his jeep rolled over the damp path, he sipped his black coffee and scanned the undergrowth, senses tuned to the unspoken. Suddenly, a strange hush fell over the jungle. The usual chorus of birdsong and monkeys went silent. Caleb instinctively slowed. Then, just beyond a curve, something caught his eye, a shadow moving with deliberate intent. His heart jumped. He stopped the vehicle and stepped out, one hand near his sidearm. There, in the clearing ahead, stood a massive black panther. But it wasn't stalking or fleeing. It stood upright, still, staring directly at him, its sleek body poised like a statue, its golden eyes burning with silent urgency. Beside it lay a trail, fresh, strange, and marked with blood. And just like that, Caleb knew. Something was wrong. Something was calling him deeper into the unknown. Caleb's breath caught in his throat as the black panther held its pose, unmoving, unthreatening, but undeniably urgent. Every instinct screamed caution, yet something in the animal's eyes pulled him forward. Slowly, carefully, he stepped through the tall ferns, boots sinking into the wet moss. The panther didn't flinch. It turned its head slightly, gaze flickering toward a cluster of dense underbrush a few meters away, then back at Caleb, beckoning without a sound. He followed, heart pounding in sync with the forest's tense stillness. As he neared the thicket, a sharp metallic glint caught his eye. A snare, cruel and rusted, buried beneath fallen leaves, and within it, a cub. A tiny black panther, no older than a few weeks, whimpered in pain, its hind legs cinched in the wire's grip, blood trickling through its fur. Its breathing was shallow, desperate. Caleb dropped to his knees. The adult panther didn't move, didn't growl. It only watched, as if praying he'd understand. He did. With practiced speed, Caleb retrieved his toolkit. His fingers trembled, not with fear, but urgency. He whispered gently, soothing the terrified cub as he clipped and unwound the snare. The metal resisted. The cub whimpered. The adult panther inched closer, its body tense, then paused. Click. The snare fell away. Caleb exhaled. The panther cub crawled toward its protector, and the adult nuzzled it gently. Caleb looked into its eyes again. This time, the message was clear. Thank you. And the jungle, once silent, seemed to breathe again. The jungle remained hushed, the canopy above holding back its breath as Caleb knelt beside the trembling cub. Blood still stained its paw, but the snare was gone. Relief swept over him, but it was fleeting. They weren't out of danger yet. The scent of blood in the air was a beacon, and the jungle had predators far less forgiving than the panther watching him now. Caleb reached into his kit for antiseptic and gauze. As he dabbed the wound, the cub whimpered and jerked. Caleb froze. The adult panther stepped forward. Muscles tensed, golden eyes narrowed, But she didn't strike. She stopped just inches away, her massive form casting a shadow over Caleb's crouched frame. He met her gaze, not as a threat, but as a guardian. "I'm helping," he whispered, his voice steady despite the hammering in his chest. The panther blinked slowly, then sat, never breaking eye contact. Caleb worked quickly, wrapping the wound with practiced hands. Every rustle in the jungle now felt sharper, louder. A distant branch cracked. Caleb's head snapped up. Was it a poacher? Another predator? He scanned the tree line, the tension coiled in his gut like a spring. But the panther stayed calm, so Caleb followed her lead. Finally, with the cub bandaged, the adult gave a low, soft growl. The cub nuzzled her, and they both turned to disappear into the shadows. But just before vanishing, the mother looked back once more, her gaze meeting Caleb's under the filtered morning light. The wild had acknowledged his compassion and remembered it. Days passed, but Caleb couldn't shake the image of those golden eyes staring back through the vines. The jungle had resumed its song, but something had changed. Word of the rescue spread among rangers like wildfire, but Caleb kept the deeper truth close. This wasn't just a rescue. It was a connection. On his next patrol, he returned to the spot. The underbrush was undisturbed, the trap long removed, but faint paw prints lingered in the soft earth, both large and small. He knelt beside them, brushing the dirt gently, as if touching memory itself. Then, a whisper in the leaves, a sound too quiet for the untrained ear. Caleb looked up. High in the branches, draped like a shadow between worlds, the black panther watched, not hidden, not afraid. And beside her, nestled in the crook of a tree, was the cub, its leg wrapped in leaves and sap, jungle medicine, nature's healing. Caleb smiled. They remembered. Over the following weeks, the panther pair appeared more frequently, not close, but always watching. Caleb would catch glimpses during his patrols, the gleam of fur in moonlight, a flicker of movement in the rain. Once, returning late, he found a freshly hunted rabbit left on the hood of his Jeep. A gift. The forest had accepted him. More than that, it had honored him. In the silent spaces between man and beast, something unspoken had taken root. Not ownership, not dominance, mutual respect, mutual memory. And Caleb knew the jungle would never see him as just a visitor again. Years slipped by in the Mbali Rainforest, like mist through the trees. Caleb continued his patrols, older now, his silver hair more pronounced, but his heart lighter than it had been in years. He rarely spoke of what happened that day, of the snare, the cub, or the mother who'd trusted him. Yet deep down, he knew the forest hadn't forgotten. Then one monsoon evening, as clouds rolled over the canopy and thunder cracked across the sky, Caleb found himself trekking an old trail near the river's edge. The light was dim, filtered through layers of rain and fog, when he saw it, a black shape, sleek and powerful, padding silently across the mud-soaked trail. The panther was fully grown now, massive, muscular. Its coat shimmered like wet obsidian, and its movements were the poetry of precision. But what made Caleb freeze wasn't its size. It was its eyes, golden, familiar. The panther stopped in the trail, just ahead of him, and stared. Caleb's breath hitched. Then, in a slow, unmistakable gesture, the cat lowered its head in recognition. The bond was still there. Suddenly, a growl echoed through the trees. Not from the panther, but from beyond. A second later, movement burst from the brush. A poacher, rifle raised. Before Caleb could react, the black panther spun and lunged, a blur of fury and instinct. By the time the man hit the ground, the weapon lost in the mud, the threat was over. Caleb stood in stunned silence. the cub he'd once saved had just saved him. Years passed, but Caleb never forgot that morning in Mbali, nor the eyes that met his beneath the jungle mist. He often wondered what became of the cub, but the forest doesn't offer answers. It whispers in riddles, its truths hidden beneath leaves and time. Then, on a sweltering afternoon, while tracking elephant movements near the southern ridgeline, Caleb heard it. A cry, deep, guttural, and foreign. Not prey, not panic. War. He raced toward the sound. The trees shook with fury. Birds scattered, and as Caleb crested a slope, the scene below made his blood run cold. Two panther clans, rare, territorial, and fierce, were clashing beneath the canopy. Snarls cracked like thunder. Claws tore through underbrush. And in the heart of the chaos, a massive black panther, his coat rippling like ink, battled alongside a smaller, aging male panther, his frame leaner, slower, outnumbered, cornered. Caleb gasped. The elder panther. It was her, the mother from all those years ago, now aged and staggering, and the younger one, all power and fire. It was him, the cub. The grown panther fought like a storm unleashed, every lunge, every roar, a shield for his mother. But when one rogue attacker broke through the fray and leapt toward Caleb's position, claws bared, eyes wild, Caleb had no time to draw his sidearm. A blur of black cut through the air. The grown panther collided with the rogue midair, slamming him to the ground with thunderous force. The jungle fell still. The cub had returned, not only to fight, but to protect. Years later, Caleb found himself deep in the Mbali Rainforest again, responding to a call about poachers intruding on sacred territory. He moved swiftly, cutting through vines and fog, his breath heavy with age, but his spirit as sharp as ever. What he didn't know was that danger was already waiting. As he rounded a gnarled fig tree, a deafening snarl erupted from the shadows. From the undergrowth, a rogue jaguar, scarred and massive, lunged with lethal speed, its amber eyes crazed with desperation. Caleb had no time to draw his sidearm. He stumbled back, bracing for impact. Then, black lightning. A blur tore from the foliage and collided with the jaguar mid-air in a bone-shattering clash. It was a black panther, larger, faster, relentless. Claws met claws, roars shattered the air, and the ground trembled beneath their fury. Caleb watched, stunned. He knew that panther, the sleek coat, the golden eyes, the cub he had once saved, now fully grown, powerful, and fearsome, had returned. The battle was fierce, primal. But the black panther prevailed, standing tall over the defeated intruder. He turned, panting, and looked directly at Caleb. For a heartbeat, time stopped. Two creatures from different worlds, bonded by one moment of compassion, stared at each other in quiet recognition. No words, just understanding. Then the panther dipped his head, not in submission, but in thanks, before vanishing back into the mist. And Caleb, trembling and breathless, whispered, "You remembered." Years passed, and the Mbali Rainforest remained as wild and unpredictable as ever. Caleb grew older, his hair more silver than black now, his movements slower, but his heart still tethered to the jungle that had once spoken to him in silence and shadow. He hadn't seen the Black Panther since that unforgettable encounter, but sometimes, in the early hours before sunrise, he would catch a glint of golden eyes from the tree line, watching, not stalking, just present. Whispers began to spread among the rangers, rumors of a massive black panther that prowled the forest's most dangerous edges, keeping rogue predators at bay, even chasing off poachers before they could set a trap. They called him the Guardian of Mbali, a phantom protector who left no tracks, but always seemed to arrive when it mattered most. Caleb knew he didn't need proof. That cub he once freed had not only survived, it had grown into a legend. One dusk, as the jungle glowed in amber light, Caleb stopped by the river's edge to rest. Across the water, barely visible in the fading sun, stood the panther, taller, broader, its eyes wiser now. They locked eyes for a long, breathless moment. Caleb nodded once, and the panther, with regal calm, dipped its head in return, before melting into the shadows once more. In that stillness, Caleb smiled. In life, the smallest acts of compassion can echo louder than the fiercest roar. Caleb didn't step into that jungle expecting to change a life, but he did. And in return, the wild never forgot. The bond between man and beast, built not on dominance but on trust, reminds us that empathy can bridge even the widest divides. It's easy to turn away when danger looms or when help seems thankless. But true courage is standing firm for the voiceless, even when no one is watching. This story isn't just about a ranger or a panther. It's about the ripple of kindness, and how one act can grow into a legend that inspires generations. If this story moved your heart, reminded you of the power of compassion, or made you believe a little more in the wild magic of this world, please like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more unforgettable wildlife stories. Because he understood something profound. Sometimes, the wild doesn't forget. It repays, it honors. And legends are born from moments of courage and compassion.